At 92, I found myself standing in my little living room, music turned down low so I wouldn't disturb the neighbors, gently moving my hips in a way that felt almost too simple to be effective. I remember thinking, this can't possibly do much. But as I continued day after day, something remarkable happened. The nagging stiffness I'd lived with for years started to ease. I could finally slide out of bed each morning without wincing. My grandchildren noticed I wasn't clinging to the handrail when we walked downstairs together. That small shift in my daily routine, this gentle hip-opening practice, transformed everything. It gave me a sense of freedom I didn't think was possible in my 90s. Maybe you felt it too. That stiffness in your hips that makes sitting, standing, or even turning in bed a chore. It's a quiet sort of ache that sneaks up on us over the years. For a long time, we just accept it. Friends tell us it's just age, and we do what we can to live around it. But the real problem isn't just the ache. It's the way it steals our sense of independence. When your hips don't move comfortably, your world can shrink down to the sofa, the bedroom, or the safe little spots you can reach without too much discomfort. And there's a real fear that eventually you might lose the mobility to go grocery shopping on your own or stroll through the park with a loved one. That fear keeps too many of us from trying anything new, often because we believe it's too late or too complicated to change. But what if it's not too late? That's exactly what we're going to explore together. I'm here to share 5 key principles behind the gentle hip-opening routine that kept me active in my 90s, ones I truly believe can work wonders for you too. You'll learn how to reduce pain, increase flexibility, and regain confidence in your own body. Each principle builds on the last, and by the end, you'll have the full picture of how to bring comfort and ease back into your daily life. The final point is something I almost never hear people talk about, yet it's one of the most pivotal parts of remaining mobile. So do stick around because it could be the missing piece you need to reclaim or maintain your independence. If you're wondering why you should trust anything I say, I understand your skepticism. After all, we've heard countless bits of advice from countless experts, but there's growing recognition in medical circles that gentle movement therapies, supported by physical therapists, senior wellness specialists, and decades of observation, can do more than just stop the clock on joint pain. They can often reverse it. That was my experience, and I've seen similar results in others who try this approach. Before we dive in, I encourage you to subscribe and turn on notifications. That way you'll always know when new tips or routines are shared. And if you find this story resonates with you, feel free to type 1 in the comments. If it doesn't quite hit the mark, type 0. Your feedback helps me understand what matters most to you. Let's start with the first crucial idea. It might sound surprising at first, but I promise it will make sense once we explore it together. Number 1, it's not about how hard you stretch, but how gently you release. It's easy to think that flexibility means pushing your body to the extreme, like the way you might see dancers or gymnasts bending in half. Many seniors assume that if we can't bend over and touch our toes, then we're simply too stiff and always will be. But the shocking truth is that overstretching, especially for older adults, can worsen tightness and lead to injury. We're not 20 anymore, and we don't need to force ourselves to be. Most of us have been told, work hard, stretch farther, feel the burn. That advice sticks with us from a younger age. The misconception is that you have to endure some degree of pain to see real results. In reality, if you're straining until your muscles scream, you're more likely creating micro tears and inflammation. This can set you back days or even weeks, leaving you stiffer than when you started. Take Harold, age 78, who lives just a few doors down from me in our senior community. He was an avid hiker in his 50s and early 60s, covering countless miles in the mountains. But over time, knee troubles and hip stiffness forced him to give it up. He missed the feeling of the trail underfoot, the smell of pine in the morning, and the sense of accomplishment he got from navigating tough terrain. Determined to regain some of that mobility, he started a conventional stretching routine he found online. Day after day, he pushed himself hard. After just a couple of weeks, he noticed a sharp pain in his hip that only grew worse. He felt discouraged and confused. Wasn't stretching supposed to help? Here's the surprising insight. In our later years, the key to regaining flexibility is gentle release, not forceful stretch. Think of your hips like a sponge that's dried out. If you yank a dry sponge, it can crack. But soak it gently and it becomes pliable. In the same way, slow, deliberate, and non-painful movements allow your tissues to soak up the circulation and nutrients they need to become more elastic. How can you apply this? Start with micro stretches. Stand with one hand on the back of a chair for support. Slowly shift your weight from one foot to the other, only going as far as you feel comfortable. Instead of holding a painful stretch, move in and out of it gently, like rocking a cradle. This repeated gentle motion allows your joints to warm up without stress. You might do 10 of these rocking shifts, pause, take a breath, and repeat. Over time, your range of motion naturally increases. The emotional benefit is a sense of safety and reassurance. You'll begin to trust your body again because you're not forcing it into painful positions. Harold ended up switching to micro stretches. Within 3 weeks, he felt a growing ease in his hip joint. By 6 weeks, he could walk down to the mailbox without wincing. The best part was that he no longer feared injuring himself further, so he stuck with it. Number 2, strength and stillness. Why holding gentle positions can be more effective than fast-paced exercises. A lot of seniors assume that movement must be dynamic and fast to be effective. Like you have to go to an aerobics class or do brisk walks to see real health benefits. In truth, rapid motion can aggravate tight hips if they're not prepared for it. Common logic says, keep moving, don't stop. But that's not always correct. Sometimes the most effective mobility practice involves stillness. Evelyn, who is 84, used to do morning aerobics in her living room. She'd follow along with a peppy instructor on TV. While it helped keep her heart rate up, she struggled with a persistent ache deep in her hips. It grew worse over time until one morning she felt a sharp stab. That was her wake-up call. She feared she'd have to give up all her exercise. The misconception she'd believed was that if you aren't moving vigorously, you're not doing yourself any good. The truth is that gentle, static holds can deeply nourish stiff hips. Imagine your hip joint like an old hinge on a door. Quick movements back and forth over a rusty hinge can create more friction. But if you apply a bit of oil and let it soak in, that hinge becomes smooth again. Holding gentle poses, like a seated hip opener with your ankles crossed and your spine long, acts like that oil, giving your tissues time to relax and release tension at a deeper level. One small, actionable step is to try a seated figure 4 stretch. Sit in a sturdy chair. Cross your right ankle over your left knee, if it feels okay, keeping your right foot flexed, then slowly lean forward with a straight back. You're not bouncing or forcing, you're simply allowing a gentle stretch to melt through your hip. Count slowly to 10, breathing as you go, then switch legs. You might do 2 or 3 rounds on each side. It might seem too easy, but the emotional payoff is huge. You'll notice not just less hip tension, but also a calmer mind. There's something about holding a position and breathing into it that soothes both body and spirit. Evelyn gradually incorporated these static holds into her morning routine. She found that the pain she once felt with every step began to soften, and she could still enjoy her favorite uplifting music, just in a slower, more mindful way. If you're still with me right now and finding these insights valuable, please comment the number 2 below. It helps me know you're here and invested in these gentle techniques. Also, if you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and do that so you can keep up with all the helpful tips coming your way. Now let's move to the third key principle that can make a world of difference in keeping your hips mobile for years to come. Number 3, your hips, your heart. Emotional tension often hides in the body. It might sound strange, but our emotional well-being is directly linked to our physical health, especially as we age. We've all heard people say things like, carry stress in the shoulders or feel butterflies in the stomach. Well, our hips can also store tension related to worries, regrets, or anxieties accumulated over a lifetime. Conventional wisdom usually tells us that tight hips are purely physical, a result of muscle imbalances or lack of stretching. But the misconception is that our bodies and emotions are separate. They're deeply intertwined. Consider Margaret, age 79, who lost her husband 10 years ago. She confided in me that ever since his passing, she'd felt an unrelenting tightness around her hips, almost like her body was bracing for an impact that never came. She tried physical therapy and medication, but neither offered lasting relief. It wasn't until she addressed some of her unresolved grief through a gentle yoga class that focused on hip openers and relaxation techniques that she noticed a significant improvement. It's as if her body finally gave her permission to let go, physically and emotionally. The counterintuitive truth here is that sometimes you need to heal emotionally in order to move more freely physically. Think of your hips as a treasure chest holding not just your bones and muscles, but also your experiences, joys, and sorrows. When you unlock that chest and let some of those long-held emotions rise to the surface, your muscles can finally relax. To put this into action, try incorporating a brief mindfulness practice at the end of your hip stretches. Sit comfortably, close your eyes, and simply notice the sensations in your hips. If any emotions, memories, or thoughts arise, allow them to be there without judgment. Even just 2 minutes of this awareness can create a sense of calm release that complements your physical stretches. The emotional benefit is profound. You might feel lighter, as though a subtle weight has been lifted off your entire lower body. Margaret described it as a warm sense of relief that started in my hips and spread through the rest of me. She began to walk more confidently and even rejoined her church choir, something she hadn't felt motivated to do in a long while. Number 4, small circles, big results. The surprising power of low-impact mobility. Most people assume that for hips to be healthy, you need large movements like lunges, squats, or lengthy walks. Actually, tiny circular motions or figure-8 movements can be incredibly effective, especially if you have balance concerns. The misconception is that big movements equal bigger benefits. But the truth is that focusing on small, controlled motions can nourish the hip joint more thoroughly and more safely than large, stressful ones. David is 76 and loves to tinker in his garage. He's been dealing with hip stiffness that forced him to stop working on his car, which broke his heart a little. He tried lunges, thinking it would strengthen and loosen his hips simultaneously, but he found himself aggravating his joint. One day, he saw a physical therapist who told him to stand with both hands on a countertop and make slow, deliberate circles with one leg at a time, barely lifting the foot off the floor. He was skeptical, but he gave it a shot. Within a month, David noticed he could squat down far enough to check the tires on his car again without feeling that pinching pain. Why does it work? Visualize the hip joint as a ball and socket. That socket loves being gently rotated because it distributes synovial fluid, the body's natural lubricant, evenly. Large movements can sometimes bypass or skip certain angles of the joint, while small circular motions address every nook and cranny. Plus, these easy rotations reduce the risk of overexerting yourself. To try it yourself, stand with your feet hip-width apart and hold on to something stable, like the back of a chair or your kitchen counter. Shift your weight to your left foot and lift your right foot just an inch or 2 off the ground. Slowly make small circles with your right knee, letting the motion come from your hip. Do 5 circles in one direction, then 5 in the opposite direction. Switch legs. Start with small, gentle rotations. Over time, you can make them a bit bigger, but never force it. The payoff is a sense of regained capability. You'll feel safer attempting everyday tasks because your hips won't seize up on you. David says the biggest benefit wasn't just that he could get back under the hood of his car. It was that sense of pride in being able to care for his hobbies again. If you're still watching and this advice resonates with you, drop the number 4 in the comments so I know you're committed to caring for your hips. Also, subscribe and click the notification bell if you haven't already, so we can keep supporting each other in this journey. Next up is the final principle, and it's one that many people overlook, yet it's often the key to staying mobile well into your 90s. Number 5, rest, replenish, repeat. The underestimated importance of recovery. Here's a bold statement. Most seniors don't need more exercise. They need more mindful recovery. We're told, stay active, keep moving, don't let yourself get lazy. While that's partly true, the misconception is that more activity always leads to better health. The reality is that our bodies, especially aging ones, crave proper rest and replenishment as much as they crave movement. Without enough recovery time, even gentle routines can backfire, leading to chronic tightness or nagging injuries. Elizabeth, age 82, is a perfect example. She read about a hip opening routine in a magazine and decided to go all in, doing it every single day, sometimes twice a day, because she was determined to see quick results. But instead of feeling looser, she began to experience a low-grade ache that lingered all afternoon. She got frustrated and was about to give up entirely. What she missed was the importance of rest days, those precious times when her body could actually absorb the benefits of the stretches. Think of your hips as a garden. You can't flood your plants with water continuously and expect them to thrive. They need water, but they also need sunlight, time, and a careful balance of nutrients. Similarly, your muscles and joints need gentle movement plus time to recuperate. During rest, your tissues heal micro tears and become more resilient. Too much of a good thing, even a gentle hip routine, can turn counterproductive if the body never gets a break. Try setting up a schedule. Do your hip opening practice 3 or 4 times a week, and on the off days, focus on simple relaxation or light walking. Consider a warm bath with Epsom salts or a few minutes of lying on your back with a pillow under your knees, just breathing deeply. This downtime accelerates the healing process and locks in the progress you made on your active days. The emotional benefit is peace of mind. You'll learn to listen to your body's cues and trust your own judgment. When Elizabeth finally spaced out her routine, she noticed a remarkable difference in how she felt during and after her practice. The dull ache faded, and she actually began to see faster improvements in her flexibility. Her biggest surprise was that being gentle and patient with herself delivered more progress than trying to power through. By now, you've got a toolbox of insights. Let's gather everything we've covered and pull it all together so you can take the next step. As we near the end of our time together, take a moment to reflect on these 5 principles for hip mobility. First, it's not about how hard you stretch. It's about how gently you allow your muscles to release. Second, holding positions calmly can be more beneficial than bouncing around in a fast-paced routine. Third, there's a deep emotional connection we often neglect. Freeing your mind can help free your hips. Fourth, small circular movements can lubricate the joint in ways big motions sometimes miss. And finally, recovery is just as vital as the exercises themselves. These principles blend together to create a simple, gentle routine that can keep you feeling agile and confident, whether you're in your 70s, 80s, 90s, or beyond. Time is precious, and our bodies are too. If you delay addressing hip tightness, the consequences can be more than just stiffness. They can mean reduced independence, less time with the people you love, and even a growing sense of isolation. The reality is that each of us deserves the chance to move through life with comfort and grace, no matter our age. Pause for a moment and picture yourself a few weeks or months from now. You rise in the morning without that familiar twinge in your hip. You prepare breakfast without clinging to the counter for support. Perhaps you venture out with family or friends and notice you're not searching for a seat at every opportunity. Picture being able to wander through a park, enjoying the breeze on your face, or simply sit and read without feeling an ache. That's the future these 5 principles can offer. A future where your body works with you, not against you. Which principle spoke to you the most today? Was it the emphasis on gentle release, the power of slow holds, the emotional component, the tiny circular motions, or the need for rest? Take a moment to think about how you can bring that idea into your own life. Maybe you'll schedule 3 short sessions a week to practice these techniques, or maybe you'll spend 2 minutes at the end of each day checking in with your body and releasing emotional tension. We'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment below sharing one thing you learned and how you plan to use it in your life. Your thoughts really do matter, and I read every comment. Knowing your experiences and challenges helps shape future content that might help even more people. If you found this helpful, please consider subscribing and sharing it with someone you care about, a friend, spouse, or neighbor who might also benefit from a bit of extra mobility. Your support not only helps the channel grow, but encourages me to continue creating content tailored to your needs. Don't forget to like the video if it resonated with you. Remember, the path to better hip health can be surprisingly gentle and rewarding. Each little step you take, every mindful rotation of your leg, every restful pause you allow yourself, carries you closer to a sense of freedom and comfort. You have more strength and resilience than you might believe. Keep that in mind as you move forward in your journey, and always trust your body's wisdom. After all, every new day we're given is a chance to move with greater ease, live with more hope, and find unexpected joy in the simplest moments. Thank you for spending this time with me, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.